Is there osteoporosis, in my mind, has generated a certain brittleness in the bone structure, so breaks are more, fractures are more common. Is this something that once the process is underway can be stalled or reversed, if you will?
So osteoporosis is a very fascinating disease of where it encompasses patients who have weak bones and they're more prone to fracture. It affects close to 10 million people in the American population here.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's very prevalent, much more than we think, more men than women. And once it starts, sure, it can be halted if measures are taken, if secondary risk factors that are found are stopped, for example, diet. Vitamin D has become very, very popular, and checking levels and making sure people have an adequate intake, taking the appropriate amount of calcium.
Calcium, the traditional, give me my milk. Well, let's take a little break here, and let's go visit the Sweezy Institute, where Dr. Sweezy himself and his staff help a patient with an exercise that will help her get in and out of bed.
In the gym where we're going to learn the pelvic pinch. This is a key exercise. It's really a movement that will help you do what you need to do to stabilize your back so that you can make the moves in your life skills without straining or irritating your back and causing pain. To do that, Babe Samra, our physical therapist, is going to teach Anya Kemak, who's a personal trainer and works with us here at the Institute. Now, this program of back stabilization with the pelvic pinch as the key to it is what we're going to move from right now.
Okay. Anya, what I need you to do is I'm going to have you bend one knee at a time and put your foot flat on the bed, okay? Then next thing you're going to do is I'm going to put my hand up under here. You're going to tight and gently squeeze your stomach and tighten your buttocks and push your stomach down so that you feel the pressure on the hand. Do you feel that? Now this should be a firm feel back here, okay?
Let me just make a point here. When you get that firm feel, you should feel that firm, friendly hand of mine. I hope it's firm and friendly. And that's the way your mattress should feel. And when you're sitting down, that's the way it should feel in your back against the chair. This is key to back comfort and back support and back stabilization.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to have you do it. Okay, once you put your legs down. All right, now one leg at a time, you're going to bend your knee and put your foot flat on the bed. Other knee, flat on the bed. Your stomach, everything, you're flat.
Just a point about that one knee at a time. It's much easier on your back to deal with one leg coming up at a time than when you try to bend two. And when you're having severe pain, any pain you can avoid is a plus.
Right, it's really to prevent straining. So, okay, my hand goes under here. Now you're going to tighten your stomach and squeeze your buttocks. And that's a good feel. I can feel some pressure back there. That's perfect. Okay? Now that's the pelvic pinch. In summary, to do a pelvic pinch, you should first lie on your back with your knees up and your feet flat. Then push your stomach in and squeeze your buttocks together. It's a very subtle movement.
Now we're going to incorporate the pelvic pinch into life skills. Here in the bedroom, I'd like you to meet Kathy Warner, our occupational therapist. She's going to first demonstrate how to get in and out of bed with as little pain as possible. Kathy?
Thank you, Dr. Sweezy. And here we have Janet with us today to help us demonstrate these. What we're going to be teaching you is how to get in and out of bed and how to do a log roll. All of these will help you do it with as little pain as possible. We're going to incorporate the pelvic pinch into these movements. Okay, Janet, first what I want you to do is do your pelvic pinch, okay? And as you sit down, reach for the bed also with your hands so that you're supporting yourself and stabilizing yourself. Okay. There you go. Once you're at that point, hold your pelvic pinch and scoot back. Okay. You can see how Janet did that. She's scooting back on the bed. Great. As Janet's going to be lying down, what we're going to want to incorporate again is the pelvic pinch. She's going to be reaching for the side of the bed and incorporating that stabilization for us. Okay, Janet, reach for the side of the bed with your hands. Bring your legs up. There you go. Get your head down on the pillow. Good. All right. Again, maintain that pelvic pinch. And we're going to roll using these 3 points as a reference point. She's going to move her knees, her hips, and her shoulders together. Okay, Janet. Great. All right. And she's stabilizing and hopefully doing that in a comfortable way. Now, when we're going to get out of bed, again, we're going to be doing our pelvic pinch, holding that. We're going to move in our log roll fashion. Okay, here we go. Pelvic pinch, log roll to your side. Good, good. Okay, when we're going to get up, this is important that you use your hands here to push off with and you swing your legs down at the same time. Maintain your pelvic pinch. And here we go. Up. Good. All right. As you can see, she's moving through these units, and she's holding that pelvic pinch and using the log roll. And as we're going to get out, we're going to scoot forward again. There you go. Nice wide base of support. There you go. Okay, and stand up. Thank you. In summary, what we tried to do today is show you in the bedroom the incorporation of the pelvic pinch with your life skill of getting in and out of the bed and using the log roll.
Wow, that was great. These are learnable skills, aren't they?
These are applicable exercises that people can take home with them and use in their everyday life to feel better when they have arthritic pain.
Well, of course, I was chuckling to myself, I must admit, because I'm thinking, okay, getting into bed, I got to move a 12-pound dog and a 30-pound dog. You know,
So it becomes a challenge, you see, and you have to learn how to do it appropriately in your setting.
Now, what about the role of exercise? I know I'm forever telling people you've got to be more active, you know, don't become a vegetable. But good exercise can help with all of these symptoms of rheumatological disorders.
Well, there's aerobic exercise, and that allows you to increase your heart rate and allows you to function better overall, which should be done a few times a week. And there are also other things like strengthening exercises and resistance exercises, which can be done. And they can be maintained on an everyday basis to maintain what you have, your range of motion of different joints and muscles, and to strengthen what's already there. A lot of times this can be done at home.
Right, and some simple exercises too, sitting in a chair or being able to maybe do a squat to keep your quads tight.
Sitting in a chair and just elevating your legs up and holding it strengthens the quadriceps here, and it allows the kneecap or the patella bone to become stronger when you have a knee issue.
Great. See, these are all handy tips. Now, it's time for another break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion on rheumatology and the Sweezy Institute. We'll be right back.
I have cash for 7 to 9 days. I also have a copy of my passport, birth certificate, and insurance papers.
Hi, it's me. I have water and food.
Don't forget, we'll need a first aid kit and my prescription medicine.
Got your message. I have clothes and a flashlight pack. I'll bring batteries and some tools, too.
We'll bring the radio.
A disaster can happen anytime. Are you prepared? At your next family gathering, build your emergency kit. Find the 10 essential items and more at labt.org. Just be ready. Prepare together.
Before approaching an intersection. So that's why 2 wrong turns don't make a right turn. Now let's learn about tailgating.
Hey, that's how I got my ticket.
You got a ticket for tailgating? That's not good. That can be really annoying.
Doesn't get you there any faster.
It leaves you no distance to brake.
Which makes it easier to get into a crash.
And it also may increase your insurance premium. And I hate tailgaters.
Tailgating causes crashes. Back off. Watch the road.
Welcome back to Aging in LA. Our topic today is prevention of musculoskeletal problems. Our guest is from the Sweezy Institute, Dr. Elise Rubinstein. Doctor, the prevention is such an important element in this, and you already showed, you see, even sitting in a chair, how lifting your leg can help with the quadriceps and alignment. Are there other sort of simple, at-home exercises that a person can do?
Absolutely. And what I did is I brought with me one of these exercise balls that we have at the Sweezy Institute.
Yes,
right
I
now.
noticed that big white thing
see it
right
sitting
there.
right here.
Now, what is this called?
So this is called an osteoball.
Osteoball, okay.
And it's an amazing tool that we have, and it's a way to strengthen muscles and in fact increase bone mass. It has shown with some of the studies that we have. And what this is this ball that's inflated 2/3 the way.
2/3 of the way, right.
It's used for isometric or resistance exercises. So you have 2 little handles here, and you pull outward on it, and then you hold at that place.
I see.
And it can be done with a lot of different exercises.
Okay, now, is it, it's not heavy at all.
Very light.
Okay,
Anybody, even a 90-year-old can sit there and pick this
well,
up.
exactly.
It's over there.
Yeah, well, exactly. And there are a whole lot of exercises listed here and numbered. Now, I believe we have some footage of this actually being utilized so people can have an idea of how handy this could be. Is this something that can be prescribed at the Institute?
Absolutely. We do that a lot for people that want this type of exercise. It works very well.
Well, let's take a look at an exercise using the osteoball that is a good upper back strengthener. The trainer is Kathy Stevens.
You'll be positioning the ball behind you against the wall. You'll have the ball level with your hips, and your palms flat against the ball. You're going to be exercising the muscles of the upper back, backside of the shoulders, and in general, all those postural muscles between the shoulder blades. So what you're going to want to do is step about 2 to 4 inches away from the ball so that your hips aren't touching the ball. And then you're going to create the contraction by pressing firmly into the ball, palms to ball, pushing that ball against the wall. And you want to progressively increase that tension, contracting between the shoulder blades, the backside of the shoulders, even a little bit down the triceps as you take the deep breath and count out. Push 1 through push 5. It's going to be important as you do this exercise that you keep your head and neck in alignment. A tendency might be to jet forward with the chin as you're pressing. So be aware of good standing alignment and then start that second repetition. Pushing the palms, contracting back, opening up the shoulders and chest, squeezing and contracting, and counting down. Push 1 through push 5. And then you can relax against the ball.
Wow, that was very interesting, and it appeared to be quite simple. And those exercises are all illustrated on this ball.
It's for easy use. It comes with a manual, and then people can just do it right from looking at the ball themselves once they get used to it.
Right,
Very
exactly.
simple.
Well, I'm going to ask the ball to take a powder. We have heard so often that people are afraid of being evaluated for fear of terrible news. But what is the process for a person to contact the Sweezy Institute and come in for evaluation when they know something is wrong?
Okay. So it depends the route that they're going. So if it's for osteoporosis, what they would do is they'd contact the Institute. They would get an appointment and come in for a bone density examination or a DEXA. And it's a very simple procedure. They lay flat on what would be considered like an examination bed, and then you have a bar above you that just goes forward and back. Takes about 15 minutes.
Wow, that's
It's not invasive. Very little radiation. You get more radiation when you fly from Los Angeles to San Francisco than you would get sitting on this.
Really? Oh, that's
Very
wonderful.
nice to know that.
That is good, because people do have concerns about that.
I ask this question a lot.
Now, you mentioned way at the beginning here that men get more rheumatoid arthritis than women?
No, actually women.
Women
Females
do
get
first,
more
okay.
than men
Okay,
for rheumatoid
and
arthritis.
doesn't that a lot have to do with hormonal changes that women go through after menopause and all?
Well, for rheumatoid arthritis, it can happen almost at any age. There is a subset of people which get it, the majority of them in their 20s and 30s and 40s, but then there's an older segment that can get it in their 50s and 60s. But things like osteoporosis is, I think, what you might have been referring
that's the
to.
one.
Yeah, can happen more commonly to women after they go in menopause. Their estrogen levels decrease, and the first 7 years after menopause, there's almost a 20% loss in bone density.
Wow.
So it's really imperative at this time to go get checked with DEXA for a bone density examination to see where you sit at and what you need to do.
Right. I can think of so many times Granny Grace lived with us in the house, and watching those physical changes, the shrinkage and suddenly the back that was bowed, and watching those changes.
So it's very interesting. Osteoporosis can a lot of times be a silent disease of where we don't see anything or know what's happening until a fracture or a break occurs in the spine. Other times there can be physical manifestations of compression fractures, or what you had talked about, the hunched over feel where you get the back that's bowed, where the patient becomes kyphotic. And this interferes with their daily life. If you can imagine, you're hunched over and your diaphragm is then being pushed in a different direction. You have more problems breathing because you're in this position. You're walking with a forward gait, so you're walking different, and there's more probability of falling.
And falls they're just
they're
a
already
deadly
there.
thing.
So osteoporosis affects a large percentage of people in more ways than they even think. If they think they don't have the disease, they might.
Are other organs involved? Is this something that sort of spreads? When you said systemic, is it something that would affect, I don't know, hearing, balance?
Well, osteoporosis affects the bones because it's for weak bones. But when a patient starts to hunch over, it can affect their breathing.
I see.
So there might be secondary consequences because of the bones becoming broken with compression fractures or a hip fracture. A patient might be bed-bound then they lose muscle mass, and other things happened.
Well, now the term we used was musculoskeletal, so I'm assuming muscles are involved here as well as they attach to the joints. Are those the parts of like the pain puzzle that we go through?
So a lot of the diseases that I take care of, rheumatology encompasses musculoskeletal diseases.
I see,
so
okay.
the joints is where arthritis or osteoporosis occurs. And then we get a lot of other issues with muscles themselves, of where they become inflamed or muscles attached to joints by tendons, and we can get a tendinitis if you've ever heard that word.
Oh, yes, I have.
So this all encompasses the musculoskeletal system. So people can have areas of pain that are next to the joint, like a tendinitis or an inflamed muscle or a bursitis, and these can be overuse injuries or things like this.
You know, it almost sounds like we're talking about the post-football weekend injury report, because people are so athletic these days, especially in their 20s, and it seems to me that they are taking some long-term risks with their joint and bone health.
Well, you absolutely do. So one of the big risk factors for arthritis or tears in tendons or other things later in life is prior trauma, or athletes that are excessive athletes, high endurance athletes.
Right, those extremists.
Boxers, when they're punching the bag, can hurt the base of their thumb. You have different athletes which can injure different areas of their body, and they're more prone to it. Kickboxers can injure their hips, if you can imagine, from kicking the bag.
What about things like Little League elbow? You know, we have rules where the kids aren't allowed to pitch more
so
than a
there's
few
tennis
innings.
elbow and then golfer's elbow, and people can get this. And I have a lot of men that after a game of golf, they'll come to me and say, it hurts me. And so it was an overuse injury.
Sure.
They need to start abstaining from doing it in the way that they were doing it, or there can be other things that I can help with.
Abstain.
A golfer who loves to golf.
Oh, exactly.
They just want to get back to their activities. They want to live their life and enjoy them. So we give them tips to get back.
So when you feel that twinge, now you'll have a number to call. It's up there on your screen to get a hold of the Sweezy Institute. Now our time is up for today's edition of Aging in LA. Thanks so much to our guest today, Dr. Elise Rubenstein of the Sweezy Institute. And now it's time for our feature on Aging in LA, Senior Stat Shots, where we look at statistics and information that pertain to senior citizens. And once again, we found today's statistics in the recently released LA County Seniors Count, a survey of the older adult population in Los Angeles City and County. That's about 1,300,000 people. So let's take a look at activities that seniors in the Los Angeles area are most interested in taking part in terms of activities. 47% of our senior citizens would like to be interested in recreational pursuits. 36% in educational activities. 10% would like to be involved in job training and placement. 54%, more than half, want physical exercise. 24% are interested in community involvement and volunteering. 42% like to be entertained at concerts, plays, and sports events. And 25% of seniors enjoy taking part in religious activities. Only 13% had no response to this particular question. And that's today's Senior Stat Shots. Now, you can get a copy of this report simply by going online to www.laccd.org, and that means the Los Angeles County Community and Senior Services. Then click on LA County Seniors Count, and the full report will then appear. Or you can have a copy sent to you by mail by calling 213-738-2065. That's 213-738-2065. The Los Angeles Department of Aging produces this program with City View, Channel 35, so that seniors living in Los Angeles and surrounding communities are well informed of the many issues that face them in everyday life. And also to let you know of the many services that the Department of Aging offers our senior citizens. Now, we'd like to hear from you with comments on the program, what you like, what you think can be improved, and ideas for future programs. So please give us a call. The number's right there on your screen, 213-252-4088. That's 213-252-4088. Call us with your comments and ideas, and we look forward to hearing from you. I'm Paul Peterson for the Los Angeles Department of Aging, the people here at City View, Channel 35, and all of our guests on Aging in LA. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
2010. Thank you to those council members who are here on time. Council members Cardenas, Hahn, Krikorian, Parks, Perry, Rosendahl, and Wesson. Mr. Reyes and Mr. Zine are excused today, but that leaves the following council members late. Pursuant to council rules, all members need to be here on time to begin these meetings in a timely fashion out of respect to the public and your colleagues. Council members Alarcon, Weezar, Koretz, Labange, and Smith are now late. If we can please inquire their whereabouts. Thank you to the sergeants at arms. In the meantime, thank you to the members of the public who are here, and thank you for taking time out of your day to be here. We have 5 ways to follow your city council here in person in John Farrell Council Chambers through, thank you, through the internet at lacity.org, where we stream live council meetings and archive the past ones, through the city's cable system on Channel 35, which broadcasts us live and rebroadcasts each evening on Channel 35 through the city's cable system, in one of our remote facilities in Van Nuys or San Pedro City Hall, or finally through your telephone by calling 213-621-CITY. That's council phone, a service of the Information Technology Agency. I want to thank those council members again who are here. We have 2 minutes more before we adjourn for lack of a quorum. Because of the following late council members, they'll please make their way immediately to council chambers. Council members Alarcon, Weezar, Koretz, and Smith. Thank you, Mr. Labange. If you can call the roll, Mr. Clerk, we do have 10 members.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Hahn, Weezer, Koretz, Krikorian, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 10 members present, and a quorum is President.
Thank you. First order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Rosendahl moves and Ms. Perry seconds. Without objection, those will be approved. Next order of business.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
All right. Ms. Hahn moves and Mr. Cardenas seconds. Without objection, next order of business.
Mr. President, this is Tuesday, and it will be time for the flag salute.
I can ask everybody in council chambers to please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Parks, would you be kind enough to lead us?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask everybody to rise, also face the flag and place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. If we can please run through today's agenda.
Mr. President, before beginning the regular agenda, there has been a request to continue items 8 and 32 to September 8th.
All right. Is there any objection, colleagues, to continuing 8 and 32 until the 8th? Seeing none, so ordered. Next items, please.
And items 29 and 30, there's a request to continue those matters one day to August 18th.
All right. Without an objection, we'll continue that one day till the 18th, or those two one day till the 18th. Next items.
On the regular agenda, items 1 through 13 are items for which public hearings have been held.
All right, items 1 through 13, colleagues. Anybody wishing? Number 7, Mr. Labange. Other specials? Still awaiting Mr. Weezar and Mr. Alarcon to have 12 members, so let's hold our ordinances on the desk until we have Mr. Alarcon or Mr. Weezar here. That's 1, 2, and 3. Other specials, colleagues, 4 through 13. 4 through 13. All right, if not, let's go ahead and take up the balance. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Items 14 through 36 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
If there's no objection, we'll consider those before us, and I think we have cards on 27 and 32, which 32 is continued, so just 27.
Thanks. Item 14.
We'll open and close the rest of public hearings. Mr. Cardenas, which one?
14.
Okay.
He said something.
File.
35, we have a motion to note and file, receive and file.
Receive and file.
Yep. And Ms. Hahn?
Did you say something about 27? Their card?
There's a card, but would you like to call it special also?
Yeah, it's for Jose.
Sorry?
It's for Jose.
For Mr.
Not
Weezer.
for me.
Thank you. Any other special
33, please.
33 for Mr. Labange. And we'll hold the ords until we have Mr. Weezer or Mr. Alarcon.
Mr. President, there used to be a representative of Public Works in council all the time. So if I get the answer by 33, if there's someone here,
okay,
I may be able to resolve
See if we can
that.
get somebody from Public Works for Mr.
Thank
Labange.
you.
All right. That leaves us with the balance. If there's nobody wishing to call those special, let's go ahead and prepare the roll on the balance. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right. Those are
Forthwith on 34 and 36.
We'll do everything forthwith today without objection.
Okay.
Thank you. Next items.
On the supplemental agenda, item 37 is an item for which public hearing has been held and the committee report has not yet been circulated.
Okay. Colleagues, any? But Ms. Perry, number 37? Okay.
We heard these 37A, B, and C in committee this morning and recommended approval as we're required to take action today to either approve or disapprove with a contingency that the department comply with the procedure which was instituted over 2 years ago on providing the conflict check and analysis with the forms in each file. Ms. Yancey said they may come in with that today. If not, we need to have that no later than Friday. I do understand, based on conversation with the city attorney, that once we take an action, we take an action today. But this is an effort to try to work with the department, but also to bring them into compliance with a procedure that they agreed to comply with over 2 years ago.
All right. So you want to hold on the desk for now, or do you want and wait till
why don't we hold it on the desk and see if they get over here before we adjourn?
All right. She's right there. So we'll hold that on the desk. Next item, please.
Item 38 is an item for which public hearing has not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration, and there are now 12 members.
All right. If there's nobody wishing to call that special, let's go ahead and prepare the roll on 38 and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. If we can go back and take up the ordinances now that Mr. Alarcon is here. We're still awaiting Mr. Weezer.
And, Mr. President, if council could first, actually, item 4 was an ordinance, so if council could reconsider that.
Okay. I did not see that as an ord. My apologies. Go ahead and please open the roll on reconsideration for 4. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
We can take up 1, 2, 3, and 4, 15 through 23. We now have those ordinances before us, colleagues. Please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved. That'll take us to our general public comment. If we can now have general public comment, Dr. Clyde Williams is our first speaker. After that is Kurt Thorgensen.
Good morning. It must be summer. Dr. Clyde Williams, 4115 Barrett Road, El Sereno, Northeast LA. The Department of Public Works, urban stormwater people are going to get some extra funding, maybe, for at least next year. Why? Because there's a Brownlee bill that I believe it's passed, will be signed, which will give the Los Angeles County the right to impose a stormwater fee on the county and on various basins, including the Ballona Creek and the upper Los Angeles River basins. This will be then shared with the LA City based upon the fact that we have more than 40% of both of those basins, and thereby avoid having to go through, again, the Board of Public Works and the City Council. Because almost 2 years ago, a fee increase that was going to go on to the county tax roll was rejected by the City Council, even though it had been passed by the Board of Public Works. Well, Well, in the last 2 years, apparently they haven't needed to do the operations and maintenance of the Propu facilities because that was their explanation for the fee increase. So rather than coming through the council and through the Board of Public Works, the normal, somebody somewhere got the county to take the heat and pass it up to the state legislature and then bring it back down. Around the carousel it goes. So tracking the money in the Board of Public Works and in the future urban stormwater, which is estimated to be $8 billion by the year 2020 and will require about a $500 lot fee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kurt Thorgensen is our next speaker. After that is Donna Pearman in Van Nuys. Good morning, sir.
Morning. I'm here to tell you that I was watching a public TV special about the LA Aqueduct, and one idea led to the other. To make a long story short, I see the potential for the Los Angeles Aqueduct, which I heard you own, to be used for large hydroelectric power generation. If that water flowing from the Owens Valley coming here could be tapped for its mechanical energy, you folks here in Los Angeles can make trillions of watts of power and billions of dollars. But I don't think you should do it alone. I think if the city of Los Angeles could enter into a joint venture with Southern California Edison and PG&E, and you can get together and see how this could be done, where you have generators the size of motorhomes, side by side, generating, like I said, trillions of watts of power. Then you'd have all the money you would need, you'd have all the resources you could need, and you could repair the grid, you could repair everything. The money's got to come from somewhere. This is my option. I think it will work, but I know it needs some study. You would accomplish two things. You would accomplish a greening the environment. The state would meet its deadlines for power producers to produce green energy. It's 24/7. It's flowing your way. Why not make a green cash as well? Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Donna Pearman is our next speaker in Van Nuys. Walter Bechtel will follow.
Hello, Mr. Garcetti.
Good morning.
Yeah. Anyway, the city has an emergency system called EMS on television. If there's an emergency, like if it's an emergency, it locks up. Anyway, it locks up the TV, which is bad. It can come in the middle of the night. My friend Miriam Fogler had to reboot her TV. That has to change. The Valley didn't succeed, so you said you would come to Van Nuys once a month, starting October. So you should come once a month. People could learn from Bell, California. People can rise up against the city council. We can change their salaries. We can repeal Prop H. We need to look at DWP salaries, which is higher than other city employees. We need to look at the manager's salaries, especially DWP managers. Our city council, beside their salary, they get free cars, free maintenance, gas to fill it up, I guess for city business. I don't know if Garcetti gets electricity for his hybrid. Anyway, DWP salaries are not shown. Sanitation is 95% independent. Surely they can have the same privilege as DWP. If we show other city salaries, you should show DWP salaries as well, and as long as CAOs and all those large people. The CRA is the reason why our city is in debt, along with the other city projects of the city council, like 3010 rail project. The fee waivers is not here, but they still waste money. CRA needs to stop. City council needs to stop wasting money, not go after the hardworking city employees, except DWP. The other city employees already gave, but the DWP didn't. Find another way to get revenue. And I wanted more people that Ground Zero will bring in a lot of trouble with Hamas and Hamas support. They're more extreme on the East Coast. It's going to be in trouble with Los Angeles, and our country can be in trouble. We don't want Hamas near Ground Zero, and we need to take care of terrorism. Thank you.
Walter Bechtel is our next speaker. After that is Michael Hunt.
Hey, good morning. A lot of things happened on the weekend, but one of the things that shocked me the most was an individual that came up to me and tried to accuse me of being a Nazi. So I just want to clarify that here and now. I not only have a lot of Jewish relatives, but I wouldn't have a map of Israel in the back of my head here if I was anything associated with some Nazi people. But I got to thinking about what he said to me and the way he was dressed. He was dressed in brown. He had brown shorts on. He had a brown cap on. And I remember what my father told me when he was a kid. about how the Brown Shirts, a Nazi group, used to try to recruit people in the 30s, and they would come up to him and other people that they realized had German ancestry, and they would say, they would try to say that they would try to make themselves look like Boy Scouts. And my father asked one of them and said, are you the Boy Scouts? And no, they said, we're the other Boy Scouts. And this guy that kind of approached me on the weekend, he appeared to have some Spanish ancestry, and I think that the law enforcement agencies need to be aware that there's a good possibility of Nazism having resurgence among the people south of the border. We know that after World War II, they did take up hiding in Paraguay and Uruguay, but it looks like there's a good possibility they may be setting up shop in among the people of Mexico, which may or may not have something to do with the community genocides down there and infiltrating among the drug dealers, etc. So I just thought I'd mention that.
Thank you very much. Michael Hunt is our next speaker. After that is Rick Nightingale back in council chambers. Back in Van Nuys council chambers.
Well, you guys gave me a personal invitation back to City Hall. Thank you, Bill. I'm back now. I know it's a 2-week recession. I'm coming turned up again. I got to do my thing. Bill, you got control over it.
And the last speaker is Rick Nightingale, and that's in Van Nuys. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Rick Nightingale. This is about Maxine Walters. I'll tell you, she turns around and is saying that she had no dealings with this ethic thing. Well, if I had if my wife had $3 million in executive at a bank, I would kind of mention to somebody, like, can you do something for me? Especially when she turned around and got on to Newt Gingrich about when he did an ethics thing, and she was on him like you flat wouldn't believe. So if it quacks like a duck, I'd say it's kind of like a duck. We'll see how it all comes out. But boy, she can sure get on that racial thing. She is the worst one to jump on race and so forth.
This doesn't appear to be within the jurisdiction of the city.
Yeah, she's a Democrat for Los Angeles.
Excuse me, Mr. Nightingale. We have to adhere to a carefully crafted law based on, doesn't matter if you're speaking about a Republican or a Democrat, it has to be directly under our jurisdiction, and a statewide election is not. If you'd like to bring it back to the city of Los Angeles, we'd be happy to hear your comments.
She's not representing the city of Los Angeles? I believe she is.
Sir, the election is outside of our jurisdiction, and that's just a legal requirement. We're not trying to in any way prevent you from saying whatever you want, and it doesn't matter if it's Republican, Independent, or Democrat, but it is outside our jurisdiction. Do you have any other comments you'd like to say about the business of the city of Los Angeles?
Can you back my clock up about 10 seconds?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, this is regarding Proposition 8. I'll tell you, man, that you can turn around, the people will vote on something and get a majority, and then you have a judge, and it's really important about this Proposition 8, and he's gay, and then you turn around and get Brown that's really in with the gay people, and I don't know why Schwarzenegger did what he did and voted on that to let it go through, and that means if all three of those went with that way, that means we cannot, as the people, even go against it. Because if the Brown don't go with it and Schwarzenegger, it gets thrown out. That is pretty good when the majority of the people don't get to say what they want. Boy, we really got stuck on this deal. Thank you.
Thank you. That will end our public comment. If we can go to items called special. Mr. LaBonge?
I did get an answer from Public Works. Okay. Bill Robertson, our fine director of street services, on 33, so I'm okay on
Ready
that.
to move that?
Move
Okay.
forward.
Let's go ahead and open the roll on item 33 then. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Let's go to item 7. Mr. LaBonge, you called that special?
Yeah. Thank you. I'd like to ask the representative of the mayor to come forth from the center table. Please sit, and this is an opportunity for us to look at a leadership program throughout Los Angeles. The mayor's office able to get a $200,000 grant. We had the mayor's director, deputy mayor of all things good. Introduce yourself and tell us about this program.
Thank you, council member.
Labange. And good morning, everyone. My name is Rafael Gonzalez. I'm the Chief Service Officer for the Office of the Mayor, as well as Director for Neighborhood and Community Services. And as Councilmember Labange just stated, the city, through the Mayor's Office, received a grant from the Cities of Service Initiative, which is actually a project of the Rockefeller Foundation and Bloomberg Philanthropies to help develop civic engagement, volunteer service infrastructure in the city of LA. And it was an opportune time for us to apply for this because, as we know, throughout the city, all our council members, the mayor's office, community groups have been organizing around service. And so what we envision here is not just looking at the Day of Service strategy as a way of making an impact in our neighborhoods, but really looking at issues like education and the environment and economic development as ways where we can drive volunteers and help reduce high school dropout rate, we can green up our city, and we can alleviate poverty in our city. So that's the intent here. Our hope is to work closely with the council office through volunteer liaisons, as Councilmember Labange had suggested last week during a committee meeting, so that we can really build something that goes beyond the city council, but really becomes entrenched in the city of Los Angeles, utilizing all our best resources and people power. So we hope that the council will accept, this initiative as a piece of the city of Los Angeles.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Thank you very much. Mr. Reyes, our colleague, supports this. Members, what I'm just asking is you flag this, assign your deputy director of field to be aware of this. This is an opportunity of partnership and volunteers. And also ask, too, as we look for the new school year in September, that each school, whether it's public and private, have that opportunity for service and community. I know my own John Marshall High is going to be involved with the nursery in Griffith Park in their environmental studies curriculum. This is an opportunity to get the young people involved. I'm sure there's opportunities in your districts. I hope you flag it. And we thank the Director of All Things Good for the Mayor's Office to help push this program through. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Councilmember.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you. Any other members? Not, congratulations, and got a good man at the helm there, so let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 14, called special by Councilmember Cardenas.
All right, Mr. Cardenas, item number 14.
Let's come down in a little bit and tell me. Thank you very much, members. By and large, there's a gazillion items on this item number 14 regarding CDD, the 36th program year consolidated plan. However, I would like support on a motion that I amend it to not include the item C493, that remain as is with the department, and that they not shift those funds over. And also F184. My staff has been extremely frustrated with the repeat answers that are non-answers as far as my office is concerned on those two items. So with that, being that the department doesn't seem to want to answer the questions to our satisfaction, then I'll make a motion to leave that money on C493 in the report, and F184, that they remain where they are currently budgeted at and that they not be moved over. If that's a problem with the department, they should have told me that ahead of time. It's inappropriate for any department to not respond to the office of an elected official and have clear answers. Whether we like the answers or not is not the point. The fact that we deserve the opportunity to have an answer. Hopefully I can get a second on that from maybe Mr. Labange or Mr. Koretz or somebody. I'd like a second to my motion.
Second.
Thank you very much, Mr. Labange.
Thank you. Without objection, that will be accepted. Or Mr. Smith, do you want to?
I'm sorry, I was trying to follow along in the report. You're talking about C, which is the $15,000 for contractual services, is that correct?
C493, which is $45,039.28.
Which goes where?
I'm sorry.
That's not what's in this.
Under attachment F.
Okay,
It's
I'm
under
sorry, I'm
attachment
looking
F.
at the council agenda, and that's different numbers then. So tell me what
This
those...
is what I have. Item 14, attachment F.
Yeah, no, I was just looking at the council agenda, which has different numbering. So
okay.
C was $45,000 from where?
For the Sun Valley Pool.
Okay, and what was
And
the next
then
one?
the other one is
F-184. It's labeled as PWSL-Delano and Beck Phase 2, $468,667.28.
Okay, so you want to hold those aside for now? Is that what you're doing?
Sure. I mean, we can pass them without them unless the department wants to finally answer my question satisfactorily.
Okay. That clear, Mr. Labange?
Is the department here? Yeah. I understand that, but the department's work for the city. I seconded the motion, Tony. Want to lay it on the desk for a day? Okay, and ask the city clerk to contact CDD and have a representative here tomorrow? So, okay, Mr. Clerk, let's lay it on the desk, Mr. President. Lay it on the desk and ask the clerk to contact CDD and ask them to be here to represent their interests.
Without objection, so ordered. Next item called special.
So that request is to continue it one day and then have CDD report tomorrow.
All righty. We'll lay that on the desk till tomorrow. Next item called special, please.
Item 27 was called special for Councilmember Weezer, and there are cards on that.
Clyde Williams is our first speaker, and then Estela Lopez will follow.
Dr. Clyde Williams, El Sereno. Favorite topic, spatial events. Where do the neighborhood councils come into this mess? It seems like it's going to be done by Public Works. Okay, Bureau of Street Services. I hope they have enough staff, because they're not going to only have the special events, but they're going to have most of the events sponsored by 90 neighborhood councils. So I would highly recommend that the Bureau of Street Services set up an office and maybe an MOU with all of the neighborhood councils to sponsor these special events and the community events. So I don't know how the Bureau is going to deal with this. I know that they haven't dealt with the neighborhood councils regarding these issues and coordinating with the neighborhood councils for the special events, nor did the city council originally do that. So I highly recommend that it be amended to also include full notification in a timely fashion for the neighborhood councils to review and have a resolution of support or opposition to the particular special event. Thank you.
Thank you. Estela Lopez is our next speaker.
Good morning, council members. Estela Lopez, Executive Director, Central City East Association. I'm here to speak in support of this measure. We have always had on Skid Row, as you can well imagine, a multitude of special events by very well-intentioned organizations that want to help the folks on Skid Row. We in no way want to curtail that or stop that. Heaven knows we cannot take our eye off the ball when it comes to Skid Row and its needs. But what this measure does, I believe, is it improves the current system because in the last 18 months or so, we've seen a growing number of these events take place during weekdays, work days. Now, in that same area, we have, and I represent, 1,200 businesses that are often not able to be notified in advance of street closures. The current system puts the onus on the event producer or the applicant for the street closure to put some kind of notification out onto the streets. Well, in my district, in the Skid Row district, these are nonprofits that are doing these events, and they don't have the funding, the wherewithal to provide effective notification, the signage that needs to go up a day or two in advance, so that the import-export firms, so that the containers coming in from the port and the airport into our industrial area have the notification necessary. So whatever can be done, and Mr. Weezer, thank you so much for taking this on, whatever can be done to help keep our businesses in business while at the same time providing the much-needed attention to the nonprofits in Skid Row, we would greatly appreciate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Weezer.
Thank you, Mr. President. And colleagues, this item was brought to council a week ago. We continued it to answer some questions that were raised by Ms. Hahn. I think this is the right way to go so that we, as we continue to unfold our new special event policies, local communities are not affected by special events. This motion here was prompted by an event that occurred a while back in the industrial area of our city, and the Central City East Association brought to our attention the fact that a number of their merchants were affected without proper notification that the special event was occurring in their area. I think what we have before us here today will allow for better notification. It is following some of the guidelines that Film LA currently conducts when they do filming in local neighborhoods. However, there's been some questions raised that I think merit further discussion and clarification that were raised by Ms. Hahn. For me in particular, I agree that we need to get a better understanding of how electronic message boards will work, if we have the staffing within our departments to provide them, or if and when they will be put in place by the event organizers. So I'll let Ms. Hahn raise some issues, but I think we may delay this a little bit more until we get further clarification on those items. But I think this is a step in the right direction, and we'll make sure we implement this sooner rather than later. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I appreciate, Mr. Weezer, you bringing this issue up, because I do think you had an incident in your district, and it might happen other places when a nonprofit or an event organizer goes through the process of closing the streets, and then in some way the merchants have felt like they were not notified. But I was a little uncomfortable supporting some of the requirements we were about to place on the yet, in my opinion, overly burdened nonprofits who are out there attempting to put these events on. So you might have a point that notification is clearly important for merchants. It does sort of affect their operations when the streets are closed, but I was uncomfortable with what I thought was a little burdensome requirements that we were putting on the nonprofit to notify people. So if you could send it back to committee, let's work out some of these kinks, then I think we'll have a better way moving forward with the special events in our city.
Thank you.
Mr. Koretz.
Yeah, I think this seems like a good measure, but again, as long as you're sending it back, if we could clarify the fact that I don't think this is intended for small events, so if we can make it clear that this is for the AIDS walk and other things that have a very significant impact, but if 100 people are going to be at a block party, we don't want this to be done. So I think if we can just clarify where the parameters are, that would be a good thing as well.
Mr. Weezer?
Thank you. And with that, I'd like to motion that we send this back to my Public Works Committee, and we will bring that back to council as soon as these questions have been answered. It's a very good policy. Our staff has done a very good job on getting to the point we are. But what we're really doing here, colleagues, is adjusting to the new special events policy that also in itself needs a lot of clarification and adjustment as we implement it throughout the city. And so this is just part of that clarification for the new special events policy, making sure that we are doing the best to comply with the new policy, plus assure that our local residents and businesses are not adversely affected. So if I could motion to send this back to Public Works Committee.
Second.
Thanks. Second by Ms. Hahn.
Yes, I'll second, yeah. Without objection. All right, we'll go ahead and we'll send that back to committee. Next item called special, please. Yes, Mr. Labange for an
Members, I'm
introduction.
with Mr. Wesson. I'd like you to join with me, Mr. Wesson, to salute the teachers and children from the leadership prep of the Korean Daily. They're down here today. Give them a big hand, Mr. Wesson, who just recently dedicated Olympic in Normandy at Sammy Lee Square, a great Korean American who was the first Olympian to win gold in the 48 games. You're winning gold today by being involved with this program at Korean Daily. We say kamsahamnida. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wesson.
Thank you. Next item called special.
The last item is item 37, and the committee report is just about to be circulated.
Okay, Ms. Perry, we're just waiting for that. Why don't we...
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead. Why don't you start talking, and we'll get the committee report circulated while you're speaking.
we heard items A, B, and C in committee this morning. That was for Eberhard Roofing and for Smart Sink and Itron. And one of the overriding concerns that I had was that when Mr. Nahai was general manager, we instituted a procedure for the Department of Water and Power to do a conflicts check and to be fully forthcoming, put it in the official file as part of the official record, much in the same way that the redevelopment agency does a conflicts check, and the Ethics Commission requires that on our 760s, so that we can have a paper trail that is easily accessible for the public and for us as elected officials to look at the extent of relationships that may have been had in the past or in the recent past. There was not an official report in the file as of this morning's committee, and so my recommendation was to move forward with the contingency that the information, the conflict analysis and conflict forms be included as part of the official file no later than this Friday. And Mr. Krikorian, I believe, is going to speak in a minute on an issue that's more specific. But with respect to the issue that he will raise, it has come up before. And I believe it may have arisen on those same contracts. But I appreciate the fact that he is going to raise it again, because I think we need to document the public record to make sure that we demonstrate to the public that we were not only fully aware of the concern, but that the concern has been addressed. I believe we have someone here from your ethics officer from the Department of Water and Power who I would invite to the center table. And Ms. Yancey, why don't you come up too and explain to the council members what we do have on record now.
Good morning. My name is Marilee Brown. I'm the ethics officer with Department of Water and Power. I'm here to speak on any questions you have regarding our conflict of interest process.
Wendy Yancey, Water and Power. In committee this morning, as you mentioned, we talked about the contracts before you, and I wanted to assure the council that the conflict of interest certification and policy that was established a couple years ago is in place. Our board letters and the information given to our board, there's a statement in the board letter which summarizes what happened during the process that Marilee is involved in to confirm relationships and what have you with contractors. Since the committee meeting for these particular contracts, I actually have the documentation/paperwork that supports the statements made in the board letters. And in all situations, there are no conflicts of interest. So going forward, and the background checklist, if you will, is not a part of the board package at this point. It is just a summary statement. But going forward, we will make sure that this information is available upon request. So it is, the process is such that once the contract does come forward, the conflict of interest forms are filed, if you will, and then checked with the Form 700s by Marilee, and the information confirmed, and then the process moves forward. So
that is correct.
All right. Any other members wishing to be heard? Ms. Perry, so move to, Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I appreciate the explanation about the documentation of the conflict statement, and I appreciate that will be immediately forthcoming. This is important, colleagues, because the DWP, like any public agency, deals with often a limited number of bidders on some of its contracts, that because there are very specialized services that are at issue in these very contracts, to provide smart metering technology. There aren't that many contractors around to do that. In this particular case, one of the contracts at issue, there were no responsive bidders to the RFP. There were 2 responses. The low bidder was eliminated as non-responsive. The second bidder was a company called Itron, which was also deemed to be non-responsive, and DWP staff had to go back to those bidders to try to make sure that their bids could become responsive in a negotiated way. The challenge that we face in a situation like that is the appearance that there may be a potential conflict if the low bidder is deemed to be non-responsive and doesn't end up getting the contract. In this particular case, Itron is a contract that the COO of the DWP had a previous financial relationship with, had received money from in a consulting capacity, and so it does raise a concern which we want to be addressed through these ethics, these conflicts filings, and that's why it's imperative, I think, in this case, that our approval of these contracts be conditioned upon full compliance with those policies that are currently in place. And I'd like to ask staff, again, as I did in committee, that I would like to have a delineation of the exact protocol that the DWP staff goes through in circumstances where contracts are deemed non-responsive. Who are the staff responsible for addressing that? What is the chain of command for making the decision as to how to make a non-responsive bid become responsive? When is the decision made to send it out to bid or not? Again, I'd like a complete explanation of that, and I think it would be appropriate for that report to be made to the E&E committee as soon as possible. But I would certainly like that individually in the meantime, even if it's not going to be a committee matter. So with that, I'm prepared to support this, provided the conflict of interest documentation is forthcoming, complete, and satisfactory.
And I do have I have copies of the conflict of interest statements for the particular items before you today, and I will actually ask the clerk to include them in the package, and then I will flowchart, if you will, the process that the department takes when we have a situation that's non-responsive in the general sense. In this particular situation, it was one bidder didn't include tax, the other bidder couldn't actually perform according to the RFP. So there was but we will flowchart out the actual process generally taken when this occurs.
All righty. Ms. Perry?
And again, we did this in committee with the understanding that the information would be provided before Friday and in the file as part of the official public record, and on a going forward basis, that would be done with every single contract in conformance with what the department agreed to nearly 2 years ago. I do appreciate your quick response on it, and we recommend approval on A, B, and C.
You recommend approval? All right. That's the motion before us. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
All right. That is approved. Next order of business.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Garcetti, request be excused November 19th for city business. That meets council policy.
All right. He's excused.
And Councilmember Hahn, request be excused December 8th for city business. That also meets council policy.
She is excused.
And the desk is clear.
Any announcements, colleagues? Do we have any adjourning motions today? If not, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Hahn, Weezer, Krikorian, Labange, Parks, Perry, Rosendahl, Smith, Wesson, Garcetti.
This meeting of Los Angeles City Council is adjourned. We will next be in session tomorrow, August 18th. Have a great day, everybody. Courage.